Crosswinds is a shockingly stupid comic book written by Gail Simone, illustrated by Staggs. This comic was so bad that it actually made me mad. It should be called Straw Man, White Men Bad. South Park does a bit with Rob Schneider, showcasing his silly roles. Rob Schneider is a carrot. Derp de derp de derp. Crosswinds by Gail Simone is worse than Rob Schneider. The summary: a slick and ruthless Chicago hitman, a smart and downtrodden Seattle housewife. When an inexplicable event strikes these two random strangers, their bodies, souls, and lives are switched to potentially deadly effects. It's Freaky Friday meets Goodfellas. Derp dead derp dead derp. They explain the characters. One of the characters is a handsome mid-20s hitman with elegant but casual style. He spends money to look good, but wants to look casual and a bit windswept at the same time. He's good and he knows it. He wears black suits with an immaculate shirt underneath, collar unbuttoned, shine shoes, and stylish sunglasses. When he sits in a chair, he spreads his arm across the back, crosses his leg. He never looks uncomfortable, intimidated, or ill at ease. Is that a character, or is that a physical description of something out of a romance novel? Juniper Blue, that's a Prawn Star's name. The Blue Tree, Blue Juniper. That's not a name of a character. That's either a romance novel or adult videos. Is a lovely but somewhat frazzled Seattle housewife. She's attractive and fit from working out to keep her distracted husband's attention, but she doesn't look people in the eye, and her body language is often drawn inward. She has a sexy core, but it is so battered and that's an odd choice of phrase. Bullied by the people around her that she doesn't show it easily. Good God, that is so badly written. If she read that aloud, she would know how badly written that was, but she probably never edited it. She wants to be free and creative and formidable, but she looks at her feet and has her arm across her body, holding her other arm, the bicep. Okay, all right. Those are the two main characters. This opening scene, I'll just read a few of these unbelievable cringe lines. I brought my best weapon, a SIG 226. Normally, I got no use for Germans. But cars and pistols, well, give a people credit and all. Why do you have no use for Germans, Gail? What is it against this bizarre hatred of Germans? It's so unbelievably stupid. If you read these social justice warrior comics, you'll notice blonde, blue hair, blue-eyed, and Germans are just the most hated people. Why would you have no use for Germans? It doesn't make any sense. This is just unbelievable cringe on top of cringe. And then this line, he's trying to get the character to kill him. We knew all about you. She made me supper. Can you believe it? Proper white people food. None of this makes sense, but Gail forces it in the story just because reasons. The opening scene with the two skinny guys in suits. Why are they in suits? Because Gail Simone saw a movie where there were young guys in tailored suits. She thought to herself, oh, that's cute. I'll put it in a story. Should I add glitter? The only way Freaky Friday works is as a comedy. You can't ask the reader to take a story like this seriously in 2020. It's basically a cliche gypsy tale. Is this cultural appropriation, Gail? Oh wait, that doesn't exist. But still, this is a really tired old concept in modern year. I found the sales figures. First issue sold 20,000. The sixth issue was down to 5,000. I'd been so used to Kwanzaa's and Mag's low sales that I thought, oh hey, 5,000 isn't so bad. But no, 5,000 sucks. Just because Mags and Kwanzaa are selling 1,000, that doesn't make 5,000 good. But the general concept is just part of the cringe. This one scene is a little author self-insert. I like to pretend I'm an explorer, like in my books, Van Vogt, Zelazny, Clark, and Asimov. If I remember right, Van Vogt is the female. I think she's the female writer who wrote some Star Trek fiction, and she's very, very good. She's one of the few excellent female science fiction writers. I think her first name was like McIntyre or something weird. Zelazny is a fantasy writer, and Clark, Arthur C. Clarke and Isaac Asimov are hard science fiction writers. So, okay, she's trying to say that she has credentials in the field. She reads science fiction and fantasy. And if she reads these 4 authors, then yes, she's probably pretty well versed in the field. That doesn't make her a good writer. And anyway, she's talking about the character motivation. The character got married, and she's talking about books she used to read. Nothing's stopping you from reading. I have literally tens of thousands of these exact books on my cell phone. You can read them at the drop of a hat. So this is just, she's trying to paint this woman as just unbelievable doormat mousy. It's absolute cringe. The cringe ramps up with the racism and misandry. Of course, the bad guys, they're all your typical blonde-haired, blue-eyed harassers of women. She's in her nice, expensive neighborhood. And these... Notice the blonde hair? Hey, Mrs. B, you hold those sacks real good. Gail, learn to write. Gail Simone knows these guys don't harass. Oh, God, it's so... Every time you see the blonde hair, you know he's the bad guy. Gail Simone knows these guys don't harass women. She knows it. The reader knows it. But if Gail had people of non-European descent harassing women, she'd be called a racist. As a plot device, it feels so awkward and forced. First of all, it doesn't have verisimilitude. It doesn't appear true. She lives in a nice neighborhood where her fellow Euro-Americans harass her. Gail, that doesn't happen. You know why? Because blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys don't act like that. If they did, film it. Get a restraining order. Film them violating that order. Have them locked up. If they approach you, give them a bath in pepper spray. It's so ridiculous. It's a nice neighborhood. Walk over to their house. Talk to their parents. In nice neighborhoods, kids have mothers and fathers. The whole concept is asinine. The mythical blonde-haired harasser. You may as well have a talking unicorn sexually harass you. Gail describes the character as lovely, attractive, and fit with a sexy core, which is funny because the writer is, how shall I put it, not these things. Gail writes this woman as such a giant pussy, who is an absolute doormat. Now, in my experience, attractive, fit, sexy women aren't doormats. They get so much positive feedback from society that they have a very positive view of themselves, as they should. But Gail has to make the characters fit her narrative, so she forces them. But when a writer does this, it causes the reader to say, wait a minute, people just don't act like this. White guys in nice neighborhoods don't catcall. Why? Because they have dads. Attractive, fit, sexy women aren't doormats. None of this makes sense. Gail, nobody is this much of a milquetoast doormat. Oh, and it goes without saying that every bad character has light skin. The one helpful character is a brown kid. This kind of purse puppy racism is so tiresome. This scene in classic stories is where the gypsy woman passes on either a blessing or a curse to the characters. But of course, you can't have gypsies anymore because I don't know, they're vaguely from India sometime in the past. So you just have to use this white homeless guy to pass on the curse. It's so stupid, unbelievably, shockingly stupid. Shows her getting bullied by her husband. He's telling her to, dear empty head, I know you'd start daydreaming and forget, so I planned a menu. Do not mess this up, darling. I mean it. Roast chicken, blah, 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 blah. Okay, if the menu is so difficult for her to get together, you just simply order something in. Because I guess it's just the old, tired cliche of the boss is coming over for dinner. How often does that happen? Let me tell you. If your wife is such an empty head, you just order what you want from an online service. They will bring you exactly what you want for a very reasonable price. This doesn't make sense. This character motivation doesn't make sense. You can't make the light skin bad, brown skin good a trope in every single book. It's part of the reason sales are so low. It violates our learned reality. Euro-Americans in general are pretty awesome. As a percentage of population, they don't commit violent crime. In fact, the majority of people who kill for money aren't Italian or European at all. Hey Gail, check out the federal crime statistics. White, non-Hispanic people are not actually the violent ones. The Italian gangster cliche is tired and racist. Most gangsters in current year are Latino or African. I know that makes you uncomfortable, but it's reality. But reality is racist. Can you change it to fit my narrative? Sorry, Gail. This is just the one example of art that I kind of like. This is the, I guess, Italian gangster with his mixed African girlfriend, but she's drawn pretty well. So I don't know about this. I don't like this coloring, but I like the drawing. He definitely nails the figure there. I guess she's kind of a hit woman too. Like what was that Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie movie that was just an absolute bomb? But it was the same kind of trope. In fact, the whole book feels like Gail Simone watched about a half dozen movies in the past 20 years, and there are scenes from movies, not an actual story. Anyway, the narrative purpose of writing the character is as so mousy is because Gail needs the juxtaposition between the soft housewife and the Italian gangster. It doesn't exactly fall apart, it's just that the foundation is really weak. A pretty woman in her 20s doesn't act like this. Most gangsters aren't Italian. She's a young stepmom. Usually a young stepmom starts having her own kids. This doesn't fit the narrative. Gail needs to paint her husband and son as evil and the mousy protagonist as an angel. It also makes it easier for our protagonist to walk away from the relationship, probably in the next few issues, which I won't be reading. Everything in this issue is artificial and forced. Gail writes her husband as a jerk, but that begs the question, why is this fit, sexy young lady with a jerk? The answer to this question is because Gail is a really bad writer with a huge axe to grind. More blonde, white, bad people, because of course, and good brown people, I guess. I don't know, this is just stupid. None of the characters or their motivations make sense. You can bend the rules of the reader's lived experience, but you can't repeatedly break them. This story is, it's subjectively a bad story, but also an objectively bad story. Anyway, subscribe if you aren't, leave a like and a comment. The husband is a jerk because he's wearing short sleeves, because that's what jerks do. She's reporting her harassment from the neighbors, and the husband just totally ignores her. But, of course, it's not how people act. Okay, now this is the Mags Visaggio Kwanzaa level bad writing, where the I don't know, the gypsy or the demon or the witch or whatever starts to do the Freaky Friday body exchange with the our housewife. This is just stupid. She goes to the bathroom and she starts having visions of being the gangster. And I guess the gangster either shot somebody or was shot or something. And so now he's in the gangster. They've exchanged souls or something. It's just it's like Freaky Friday. It's like a movie you've seen in the 80s or 90s, because I think Gail's about 45 and she's seen these same dozen movies, and she bases her stories off them. Of course, the one helpful character is the brown guy, because, should I call someone, ma'am? No, kid, I'm fine. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Okay, I'll read this at the end, because I realize most people don't hang in for it. This is such absolute cringe. It's part of the story, but Gail Simone wrote it, so you know it's going to be horrible. Trespass. Which is the bigger sin in the eyes of heaven, do you suppose? Is it arrogance or oblivion? Arrogance can make a fool, an emperor, make him deem himself above all creatures, and worth of every bit of unearned good fortune. Arrogance can make a killer think he's a good man. A user of men can feel he is being charitable in his theft. And yet, to be oblivious means putting yourself not just in front of others, but alone in front of others, as if they did not even exist. To be in a film pretending victimhood while discounting others' pain. I remember the first time I realized I was God. I had a cat that loved me and a dog that loved only my mother. The dog bit me when I tried to pet it and drew blood from my innocent young hand, a scar I carry to this day. I brought the wind and made two monsters. A dog. This is Gail writing, and she thinks she is so I won't say it. This writer who wrote this, Gail Simone, thinks she is so edgy and cool writing this. She's, in her mind, she envisions herself as she sees herself as this great writer, and it's just stupid. This is like what a high school kid writes. It's for a high school kid, yeah, it's pretty good. But for a 45-year-old professional writer, no, it's just stupid. And this should never have made it past the editor. A dog that meowed and a cat that loved my mother, but that she was allergic to. The dog never again licked her hand, and my mother had my father tie the cat in a sack and threw it in a river. Arrogance versus oblivion. Cats and dogs. I've loved few persons, lost them, loved them dead. Blah, 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 blah. She talks about the cat killing an animal and laughing at it because in her mind she's trying to create something memorable. But the thing with Gail Simone's writing is none of the motivation, none of the characters make sense. She has a rough plot outline that's based on films she's seen. So films are based on other films or original stories, or sometimes they're original content. But Gail is basing her stories off these stories, so it's derivative on top of derivative. She doesn't actually have original ideas. She just has movies that are based on stories or based on the movies. It's really bad, and it's really obvious. This is what a sophomore in high school writes. If you have an editor, the editor should say, hey, you know what? This doesn't really fit the story. Why don't you save it for something else? And the thing is, because Gail is kind of powerful in the industry, she includes this kind of stupid writing. And it makes it past the editor, much the way that Stephen King's books make it past the editor. But Stephen King is actually selling, making money. Her books, this sold 20,000 copies, and by issue 6 you're down to 5,000 copies, so you're definitely not making money, you're definitely not selling. I don't know why she's such a big name in the industry if she literally can't write books that sell more than 5 to 20,000 copies. This is just stupid. Anyway, like I said, leave a like and a comment, and I hope you enjoyed this.